Hi everyone, this is a very, very special pick a card reading, and I feel like it's quite an important one as well. So, Mercury retrograde is approaching us, and if you're watching this at a time, even in the future when there isn't a retrograde, or maybe there's another retrograde, but not specifically when, this video is published, then just note that this video in general I feel is going to have messages and things that we can actually use, in the future as well. So it's not just limited to the time when I'm publishing it and the retrograde taking place at this time, but it's also, a reading with messages that can also help us in the future as well. So we are going to have a look, see what's coming through, and, I'm really going to explain what to be aware of during Mercury retrograde, and what specifically you should be aware of. So we have these three groups, and whichever group you're most drawn to is going to be the reading for you. So we have group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. We have these beautiful sort of crystals and this beautiful setup. I hope you enjoy the aesthetic of this reading as well. And so we are going to get started, and the timestamps for each of the readings will be in the description box below, so you can go there, you can click on the reading that you would like to view, you can watch it and get your messages. I also want to mention as well, if you'd like to win a free reading with me, do check out the description box below, because I do a giveaway every single month. If you would like to purchase a private paid reading, information is also down below as well. They are done within 24 to 48 hours. And the last thing I want to mention is that my intention bracelets are on Etsy. These are handmade by me. There are so many bracelets and different items on there as well, including intention cards, which are hand embroidered. So the bracelets are handmade, they're meditated with, they're saged. This one here is the retrograde bracelet. There's a Mercury retrograde bracelet, and then there's an overall retrograde bracelet. And these really help with, removing those obstacles and challenges from those times. And if you want to see the reviews and see how other people have seen results with these bracelets, definitely do check out my Etsy shop. Link will be in the description box below. They're very, very affordable, and also international shipping as well. So let's get started with this reading. So first of all, we're going to read group number 1, and then I'm going to move on to each of the other groups. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these very nicely, evenly and swiftly to the side, like so. So we have group number 1 right here. All right. So group number 1. Let's have a look and see, what you should be aware of during Mercury retrograde. And this can also really help you during any other sort of Mercury retrogrades you come across, in the future as well, because it's going to have information in regards to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this crystal and this sort of tea light lamp holder right in front as well. So let's have a look. Okay, so we have got here the World. We have the High Priestess. We've got the 10 of Swords, the 9 of Swords, 3 of Cups, and we have the 4 of Swords as well. So what I'm seeing here specifically for you and things to be aware of during Mercury retrograde is definitely by following your intuition. Following your intuition is a very, very strong thing, and sometimes Mercury retrograde is just crazy, and regardless of how much we follow our intuition, it can just throw us off. But specifically for you, group number 1, there is a strong message here that's really saying you are very intuitive, so continue to always use your intuition even during retrogrades. It's also showcasing here as well is that sometimes you'll have an inkling as to maybe things could go wrong, so you can actually sort of stop things with your intuition as well. Again, during Mercury retrograde there will always be certain things that we just cannot control, but this is about controlling as much as you can by using your intuition and what your gut is already telling you. So don't be afraid of your gut, your emotions, and your intuition beforehand. The Mercury retrograde causes a lot of chaos in terms of travel, technology, and communication. So you might have a gut feeling that, maybe this is going to get cancelled, and eventually it might, So this is about using your sort of gut to the best of your advantage. Maybe even checking things over before you send them, text messages, emails, that kind of stuff, or if you're writing anything down, you know, just double checking things before things are sent over. So that is definitely a big message here. Trust your gut. If it's telling you something, just think it through. Extra, extra, extra. We have the World card as well, in the Major Arcana form. This particular card, I mean, the World is ruled by Saturn, right? So Saturn is about structures, organisation and boundaries. So this is about really trying to keep on top of it in regards to your career, or if you're in education, you know, just trying to, again, just double check things before you send them across. Just really just trying to, you know, have that structure, that organisation, and just, you know, thinking things through twice, you know, and just proofreading things like that. And that will ensure that you get through the Mercury retrograde with oh gosh, I can't even speak. This is a Mercury retrograde. It affects our speech as well, with as little challenges as possible. Okay, so this is about you actually using your intuition, and also just really just checking through things constantly to make sure that, you know, things are not getting mixed, muddled, you know, or wrong, essentially. Green, right, this green crystal, green represents in our chakras the heart chakra. This is about trusting yourself, right? It is about following your heart, which is a good thing to do during the retrograde. But yes, that's what I'm seeing specifically. Also, during the retrograde, you may feel low on energy, right? So Mars, especially since I mentioned Mars, and the reason I mentioned Mars is that I do feel that, you know, with the Mercury retrograde, I do feel that Mars as well does have a bit of an impact on you. Mars is known, you know, it's known to have a bit more of a sort of destructive quality at times, so it can make you feel very overwhelmed, and also, you know, Mercury being in retrograde is also very overwhelming, so you may feel low on energy, you may feel very drained, and so this is that energy really coming through with the Four of Swords. You know, rest, retreat, take time for yourself, try and ground and balance yourself as much as you can. If you're someone that meditates, highly recommend, you know, continuing on with your meditations. Subliminal music can be really great as well, but just taking care of yourself during this time is very, very important. You know, High Priestess is ruled by Pisces, so again, it's about taking care of yourself as well. Three of Cups here does show more of a social environment as well. So it does show that social environments, you know, it's good to have that balance, but also it can be very, very draining for you. So, you know, that's just something that I want to put out there. As great as it is, I do feel during sort of the retrograde time you will feel extra drained. So if you feel like you can't go to as many social events, or you just feel like you don't want to, just know it's because, again, of the retrograde and it's draining your energy. So the best way to regain your energy is by resting. All right. We also have the Nine of Swords and the Ten of Swords. Now these both link together because 9 and 10, it's gradual progression. What I am seeing here specifically is that, again, any sort of miscommunication by not checking things through, or I guess forgetting, you know, to check something can lead you to quite a bit of stress. That's why I kept saying, please check, proofread, get someone else to check things as well, because it can cause you just so much stress. You know, the right message could go to the wrong person, things like that. So please check. Also in terms of traveling as well, you know, check before you travel. You know, there could be things perhaps on the roads, or if you use public transport, or, you know, if you're trying to do something or you're traveling quite literally, then please check before, you know, just check. But don't worry, it will be resolved, okay? In time you'll be able to get through these things because, of course, the retrograde will come to a close, and also these problems and challenges and obstacles will be minimal. So you will get through it, and a lot of this is teaching us lessons, right? To just be, I guess, more careful and things like that. But this is sort of the best way to really eliminate a lot of that sort of emotional sort of energy that we sometimes feel like we are just out of, you know. And so this is, you know, what to be aware of during the Mercury retrograde is definitely protecting your energy, and also just checking to make sure, you know, the wrong things sort of just aren't slipping, because even though sometimes it's not our fault, it's the energy of the retrograde, you know, and it causes chaos. So this is your reading group number 1, and you know, if this resonates, let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And yeah, so I'm now going to move on to group number 2. Alright, group number 2. This is your reading for what to be aware of during Mercury retrograde. So let's have a look. I'm going to place this little tea lamp with the crystal in it just right there. So beautiful. It actually just matches really well together. Then I have got here the Chariot. So this is about travel. Mercury retrograde is very well known for affecting travel, technology and communication. So with the fact that we have the Chariot here, you know, it is to do with those elements of travel. So, you know, just being aware when you do travel, you know, things like, I'm just going to say very sort of vague things, but some of these may really resonate with some of you, but it's just, you know, to give an example, because of course not everybody has a car, not everybody uses public transport, not everybody, you know, travels or things like that. So, you know, these are sort of more vague things, but hopefully they'll point you in the right direction in terms of advice. So for example, making sure you have enough petrol or diesel in your car, or, you know, if you have an electric car, you see what I mean? Everyone is very different. If you have an electric car, making sure it's charged, things like that. Also, you know, checking before you travel if you live in a place where it's snowing, you know, things like that. Accidents, you know, just having a look before you travel. If you're traveling by flight, you know, just making sure that everything is just, you know, running smoothly. So this is about checking before you travel. It's a very big message that's coming through. So regardless of how you travel, it's just about, you know, your method and what you do in regards to travel, and just sort of twisting it to your scenario. So that's what's really coming through with the Chariot, because the Chariot is all about travel, and it's also about making sure, you know, things sort of go smoothly. So long as you travel, so long as, you know, you check before you travel, you are sort of, you know, preparing yourself in that sense, and it's not like a shock, you know, an emotional shock, like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, you know, but if I had checked, you know. So sometimes we can't avoid certain things that happen last minute, but we can sort of avoid and change our situations sometimes, you know, especially if things happen a little bit more in advance. For example, I was just looking online, and at the time that I'm filming this particular video, there was like a volcano, and a lot of flights had been cancelled and things like that, and, you know, just checking and sort of making sure and things like that, you know. So yeah, if you kind of just turn up to the airport on the day and then you don't realise that, oh, there's a volcano that just erupted on the other side of the world and now my flight's cancelled, you know, it's just taking precautions. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so not everyone's going to be flying, of course, but it's just how you travel and sort of just doing that. So we've got the Hanged Man. Hanged Man is ruled by Neptune. This energy is very spiritual in nature. It's also very, very strong energy about, you know, taking time for yourself, resting, retreating, meditating, regaining your energy. Mercury retrograde can take a lot out of us. It can emotionally drain us. Mentally, it can be a lot. Physically, it's like, oh, I don't want to do anything. You know, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, it does a lot. So this is about, you know, meditating. If you haven't already tried to, I highly recommend it. 5 to 10 minutes a day can be so beneficial, and there's so many tutorials on YouTube as well on how you can do so. The other thing with this particular card as well is that it will help you so much in terms of, you know, recovering your energy, feeling stronger, feeling better, and also getting through obstacles and challenges without being so emotionally hurt as well, because, you know, sometimes it just takes a lot out of us and we're like, oh my god, I'm another Mercury retrograde, you know. But the thing is, if you are able to sort of tap in more to your spiritual side, you know, the next time a retrograde comes around, you'll be like, all right, I got this, you know, I can do it. I know what to do and I know how to get through it. Okay, so we have here these, there's actually supposed to be 4 cards in this particular deck. I must have miscalculated. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the tarot deck, and this is how I do it anyway. So this is the deck. So how I do it is I shuffle the cards and I place them into the piles. So that's totally fine because I can just shuffle an extra card out now. And if anyone's wondering what this deck is called, it is called Trippin Waite. Ah, okay, there we go. We got 2 cards. All right. See, you got bonus card. It's just meant to be, you know. That's the thing. Let me just put this down here. It's meant to be. You were actually supposed to get a bonus card. So so we've got the Star card and Judgment. Ooh, look at that, 2 major arcanas. So the Judgment card is ruled by Pluto. This is about transformations. It's also about making decisions and also judging situations. So the thing that's really coming through this card, and we're going to talk about it first, which is what I'm doing. This is really about sort of looking at what's going on and actually thinking more so with a clear mind. And again, you know, that Hangman energy would really help you in terms of its spiritual energy. It would help you to sort of look at things and be like, all right, so this is going like this, and this. How is this benefiting me? And what can I do? So sort of judging the whole situation. Again, it's about not letting your emotions sort of get in the way and control how you see things. Sometimes during a retrograde, our emotions get the best of us because it's just a time where things may just feel like they're going wrong in every single direction, and then how we judge the situation is based on how we emotionally feel. And so we may miss out on certain opportunities, we may get into arguments with people, right? 5 of Swords, arguments, you know, chaos within ourselves, conflict within ourselves. So this is about, you know, taking us away that element and actually judging the situation with a much clearer perspective, so that you're not letting, you know, the retrograde and its emotional energy affect you to that level. So it is about sort of controlling those emotions with the Star card, healing, releasing, letting go. Think about what happens and then let it go into the universe. That's the best thing to do, especially during a retrograde. You know, things can go wrong. As I mentioned with travel, you know, with technology, things can go wrong. It can be so frustrating because we do a lot with technology these days, right? Absolutely a lot. I mean, I have so many problems too, and what I do is completely digital, right? So I go through so many problems during every single retrograde. It's crazy. It is crazy. But also the other thing as well is with, you know, communication, you know, messages that we send, or emails that we send, any kind of communication, even words that we say. Sometimes, you know, the wrong thing could come out and it can, you know, cause a bit of chaos. Like, oh, actually, no, I didn't mean to say that. But it really is about sort of, you know, thinking about if things go wrong, thinking about them and then letting them go into the universe so that it's not clouding you, you know, for the rest of the things. Ace of Swords here again is about checking communication before you send it. So if you're sending a text message, just check it over, make sure it's going to the right person, and you're good to go. So that's just about that. The moon here is to do with emotions, right? It's about controlling those emotions, and also the moon is about cycles and phases. Realize that you're in a cycle, right? The retrograde's not going to last forever. Does it keep coming and going? Absolutely, right? Just like the moon has its cycles and phases, the retrograde, Mercury retrograde keeps coming and going. But it's about realizing that and just realizing that, you know what, it is going to end at some point and things will be okay. It's about controlling those emotions. It's a little bit like emotions, you know, some days we're happy and some days we just feel so sad. You know, it just kind of happens like that. So it's about sort of realizing that, you know what, this is just the way it is, and we just gotta, I guess, deal with it to the best of our abilities that we can. So by checking things over, you will be able to really just hopefully lift yourself up and feel much better. These are the sort of main messages for you, group number 2, in regards to, you know, what to be aware of during the Mercury retrograde, and also how you can help yourself during this period of time as well. So this is your reading, and if this resonates with you, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and definitely do check out the description box below for more information on everything that I mentioned, private paid readings, free reading giveaway, you know, bracelets and all that good stuff, which is on Etsy, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Alright, so now I'm going to move on to group number 3. Alright, so group number 3, this is your reading for what to be aware of during Mercury retrograde. So I'm just going to place this little tea lamp with its blue crystal right in the center there, and let's see what these cards are saying. So we have the Fool card. Now the Fool is ruled by Uranus. We have the Judgment card. Judgment is ruled by Pluto. We have the 6 of Swords, the Tower, which is ruled by Mars. We have the Strength card, ruled by Leo, and we have the 3 of Pentacles. Alright, this is very interesting for sure. So essentially what this reading is going to give you is it's going to give you information on how you can, you know, further better your your Mercury retrograde experience, you know, in general. And it's also just going to give you lots of advice on, you know, how to deal with things, and also just, you know, more general information as well in that sense. And this is what I'm seeing, right? So the Fool here is ruled by Uranus, as I mentioned. Uranus is very spontaneous. The Fool is also extremely spontaneous. Uranus as a planet is very rebellious as well. So the Mercury retrograde, you know, may actually make you do, you know, spontaneous things that perhaps, you know, you don't really tend to do. So you may feel like you want to go on an adventure. You may feel like you want to, you know, talk to a certain person. You may just feel very spontaneous. Now, the thing about this is that during a Mercury retrograde, when you're doing very spontaneous things, the big message here is please, please, please check things. You know, just check things, because Mercury retrograde, it causes chaos in travel, technology, and communication. So check things in regards to your technology, check things in regards to traveling before you travel, you know, things like that. Check things before you send them, so via communication, or just think things through before you say them as well. It's a very spontaneous, you know, energy. Sometimes people just say things, you know, and then they don't realize the consequences of what they've said, and they feel really bad. And you know, so this really is about just you know, yes, you feeling spontaneous, but also just sort of think things through a little bit, and also check things as well before doing them, or check things before booking them as well, because for some of you, you might book something and you realise that actually it's the wrong day, or maybe you paid the wrong amount, or, you know, things like that are very, very common during a retrograde, especially when you are feeling spontaneous. It is a higher risk. So that's what I'm seeing there. It's not a bad thing to be spontaneous, but just be aware, especially with the Mercury retrograde. I have a feeling that you're much more spontaneous during this period of time. The Judgment card, which is ruled by Pluto, is about transformation. So it is sort of, you know, really looking at the things that you're doing and just trying to, you know, hold that sword of clarity and just, you know, look at what you're doing and just sort of double checking things. That's really it, you know, and that will oh gosh, I can't even speak, you know. Mercury retrograde also causes issues with verbal communication, like hello, that's exactly what's happening here. But yes, the Judgment card is about transformation. So by doing this, you can actually transform your situation, and you can avoid a lot of these challenges and obstacles that can arise with being quite spontaneous and not sort of looking at things or doing things maybe too quickly as well. Okay, so that's definitely something I'm seeing here. So the Six of Swords actually shows that this is avoidable. You know, a lot of what we're seeing here is very much so avoidable. So by you actually doing a lot of what I just mentioned, you can actually not have to deal with a lot of what I just mentioned. So yeah, Six of Swords is about emotionally moving away to calmer waters and actually, you know, feeling good about it in the process. So it's more of like a lesson as well. Now, the Tower is ruled by Mars. Okay, so Mars is a very sort of destructive energy as well. And it does also showcase that you may feel quite drained. So, you know, retrogrades in general, they can drain us. But the thing is, you know, retrogrades that are further away, so planets that are further away, like Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, you know, they're further away. So we feel the effect of the retrograde sort of over time, consistently, rather than just all of a sudden, you know, like we do, like we, all of a sudden, yeah, not all of a sudden like we do with the Mercury retrograde. Mercury is a planet that's closer to us, so we feel the effect of it so fast, and then, you know, within a month, the retrograde is sort of over, or less than a month, it's sort of just over. So yeah, you will feel the effect, you know, of the retrograde a lot, you know, so it can drain your energy with this Mars energy. You know, I know that Mars and Mercury are two different things. I just want to point that out. I do know that, but this is, of course, ruled by Mars. So it's just showing you that it sort of just brings on that energy of taking and stripping away your energy. So the energy is taking away your energy. So that's what's happening. So next to that, we have the Strength card, ruled by Leo. So this is about, you know, regaining your strength. And how can you regain your strength? Well, mindfulness, right? So meditation, journaling, resting, retreating, you know, taking time for yourself, very, very important. So that's how you would regain that energy, because it can drain it. So regain after the drain. Three of Pentacles is about harmony and balance. So, you know, threes in tarot are also about lessons. So this is specifically about the work environment or the education environment. Of course, it depends, you know, what you're doing. It's quite an open reading in that sense. Some of you will be in education, some of you may be working, some of you may not have any work currently. But this is just showing that, you know, regardless of what you're doing, it is, again, just about working in harmony and balance and checking things through. You may have to put in a little bit more work during the period of a retrograde just to make sure that, you know, you're spending sort of, again, you know, checking things through. So if you've checked something through that's taken you, you know, a while to check through, you know, checking it once again can really make a good impact. And there could be things that you've missed that, you know, you would just sort of find, and that will actually make you feel like, wow, I'm really glad I checked it, and things like that. But this could be just anything in general, right? So checking in general. So that's what we have for you, group number 3. This is your reading, and if this resonates with you, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and do check out the description box below for more information on private paid readings, free reading giveaway, and my bracelets, which are on Etsy. I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, and definitely do take care. Bye!